to tonight's webinar of Foreclosures Daily. My name is Nancy Wallace-Laabs. I'm going to be your host tonight and your speaker, so you get a double whammy of me tonight. And Foreclosure Daily is all about connecting buyers with motivated sellers since 2004. I'm just okay. So who is ForeclosuresDaily.com? So they're a nationwide lead provider. They provide leads to investors, realtors, attorneys, and just your basic first-time home buyer. They've been in business since 2004. I personally have been using them since 2018. And since then, they have been the internet's #1 destination for the most detailed and timely information. I'm actually going to address that with you guys because I have used other companies. And I have, after I found ForeclosuresDaily.com, I never left. So who am I? So I have a little bit more about myself, but my name again is Nancy Wallace-Laabs. I've been investing since 2006. I am a best-selling author of the book Winning Deals and Heels, and yes, you can get it on Amazon. And if you do purchase it, part of the proceeds goes to a nonprofit here in Texas called Hope Store. So please, pick up your copy. So my daughter Kelsey and I, we founded Money Making Mamas, and I'm going to talk about that later. But we've been, as I said, a client of Foreclosures Daily since 2018, and some of my best deals have come from leads generated by the leads I get from ForeclosuresDaily.com. So we love, when we mentor people, we always turn them on to ForeclosuresDaily.com because when they're spending money and marketing and trying to do lead generation, they're not going to get any other place that's going to be better. So I do have a request of everybody, take out your phones, go to Instagram if you have an Instagram account and follow us at Money_Makin Mamas, okay? Because we're really trying to grow that Instagram account. That's for my daughter there. So how is ForeclosuresDaily.com different? Well, first of all, they have real estate attached to the lead. So I can let you know that another companies that I have used, when I got the lead and then I was like, okay, well, they don't have real estate. Sometimes they might have had guns or they had jewelry or they might have had art, but I'm not a I don't know what a kind of appraiser for gun collections and art collections. So I do know people that do that, but when I'm calling people, I want to know if they have real estate. So they're delivered daily, weekly, or monthly, depending on what type of lead. So the pre-probate leads that I get them every week. There's the property appraisers information on most data types. Most companies that we have found are quarterly and not farm for real estate, as I just said. And ForeclosuresDaily.com understands the importance of having fresh data for real estate. So what kind of leads can you get? Well, like I said, I always talked about pre-probate, but they also have probate. The absentee owners, good list because that's people that they don't live there. They maybe abandon the property. Could sometimes be landlords as well. There's code violation list, distress list, divorce list, evictions, inheritance, auctions, cash buyers, lease pen days, and tax lates. So you got a lot of different lists there. And we could do webinars, and they do. So you need to make sure you're signing up for all the webinars because they have experts coming in and talking about all these different types of leads and how you can use them to get real estate. So now the other thing with ForeclosuresDaily.com, because it's one thing to get the list, but then you got to know how to market to it, right? And so here's a couple different ways that you can do it. So when you become a customer or a client of ForeclosuresDaily.com, then you can use different mail house companies that they have affiliates with. So this one is for direct mail. It's with GoBigPrinting.com. And there's postcards. And in the past, I've used similar things to this. It's just easy breezy. You get the list to them. You can design the postcard and then it goes out to your list. So it's pretty easy. They also have, whoops, I went back. Sorry, guys. There we go. They also have handwritten where you can send out a handwritten letter to your list. Now, I just found out something today. I was very excited about this. So this is another direct mail marketing. So I'm going to give a shout out to Wendy because she actually spoke to me today about their services. And there's a QR code, I'm going to point it up right here, that you can find out more about their information and get connected into them. But they have a very cool way, and this is how I actually market to my pre-pro leads. I use cards. I have a mom that hand writes them for me. And so she has a very similar, well, that's what her company does. They have actual people that write out these cards, and you can go with a diamond, platinum, or gold, and a combination of ease. And talk about easy peasy. What they do is they can just get your leads. You tell them in the beginning what you want, and then she sets everything up, and all you do is answer the phone. I like that. So we're getting ready to implement that as well, especially if you want to do it on a larger scale. Now, let me talk to you about the Probate's Real Estate Sales 101, because when you become a customer, look what you get. And look what I got back in 2018. And the information in here is still viable today, right? So that was what we're talking, like 6 years ago. So you're going to receive a copy of Kevin Sales' book, Probate Real Estate 101. And not only that, you also will have access to webinars by that author. So he gives additional webinars. So in addition to getting the book, you're also going to have be able to access webinars when you become a client of ForeclosureDaily.com. So they really want you to be successful. Okay, now get into the portion of the program here where it's going to be about Nancy and what she does and how she incorporates ForeclosuresDaily.com and pre-probates. And this is exactly how I've been doing it since 2018. So we're going to talk about how to find the opportunities and then how we go about building trust. So some of the questions that we had in there was like, how long does it take to do these leads? And, and so it's just and so first of all, let's talk about you're meeting me. This is me. I'm a best-selling author, national speaker. I've been a real estate investor, and I'm mom to Kelsey, who's the beautiful young gal on the end there. Money Making Mamas is all about empowering women for real estate investing. We work with them on money mindset and really building a community of like-minded women. And yes, guys, you can be a part of it. It's really about families. And then Kelsey's background is she comes from business management and social media. She's a mom of two toddlers, two beautiful toddlers, and of course, she's my daughter. So her and I together launched Money Making Mamas. Now let's talk about what are pre-probate leads. I was on the phone with the lender earlier this afternoon, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know. I've worked those probate leads, and in Texas we can do a little bit different things." So I was like, "No, that's probate. That's not pre-probate." So they're really properties that are identified before the official probate process starts. So if you've never gotten these leads before, let me kind of just tell you what happens. So you get the leads I get them every Wednesday. And it'll give you like the address of the property, it gives you the value of the property, all the information, but it also gives you the date of death. So the date of death, when I get those leads, is last week or 2 days ago. So the person recently passed away. So this is not your typical call them up, hey, you got a property to sell. No, that if you do that, you're going to be called a hearse chaser. And when I first started them, that's exactly what I did. So don't do what I did. So how are they identified? So pre-probate data matches current names on property records, the title to the name and address of the death record. So that's why you get leads from ForeclosuresDaily.com. So what's the value add? Investors and realtors speak with people before they have decided what to do with the property. And this can include family members or spouses who may need to sell the home quickly. Or it could be a case where maybe mom or dad has passed away and they were elderly and now mom has to go into a nursing home. There's all kinds of just different situations. And how do you find them? Well, yeah, you start an account with ForeclosuresDaily.com. It has the most reliable leads in the industry. And believe me, I have tried other platforms. So not only am I giving them a shout out, they've also helped me to market to these leads, and I don't waste my time and money on leads that didn't have real estate. And then working the leads takes some people skills, I'm gonna call them that. So you got to have some empathy, you have to have some compassion, you have to be authentic, you have to be transparent. If you call people up, let me just tell you how I used to do it. When I first got the leads, I had a dialer and I load all my names, I skip trace, get the numbers, load all the numbers in there. And I just started calling people. Hey, I'm Nancy and I'm calling about that house at 123 Main Street. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I can't even repeat what I was called and how many times I was yelled at. And I was like, ooh, dang, I must be doing something wrong here. Because usually people will talk to me. So, so I had to go back and kind of go back to the drawing board and go, okay, this is not working. So let's talk, before I get to what is working, let's talk about the value of these pre-probate leads. So generally they're off market. Now, sometimes when a family member knows that, dad or mom's going to pass away and they already have to make arrangements, the house may, they may already be making plans to put the house on the market, or maybe, some kids are going to inherit it or something like that. But normally they're off market properties. And people usually want to sell them before they go to probate. So in Texas, now I think Florida can do this too. Don't quote me on that, but I know Florida, you can do this. So even if somebody has a will, you can use what's called an affidavit of heirship. And I go into that a little bit more. And basically this is getting all the heirs together and they're signing off saying, yes, I agree to sell the property and the proceeds are going to be split XXX. A title company is somebody that would do this for you. So it's generally a unique niche. Now, as more people get it, it won't be, but it's less competitive because it's not like, you can just pick up the phone. As I said, you have to kind of learn the process, and you also have to have trusted network of people to refer these pre-probates because they usually have a lot of needs, right? So there's limited competition, which allows, if you have the right approach, to secure deals that others are not pursuing. And generally they're motivated sellers because maybe it's, somebody passed away and I've worked with people who they live out of state and the house is here, so they've got to sell, they don't have the money to keep it, or maybe, mom and dad's house was very outdated and they don't really want to spend the money to, get it up and ready and retail. And so they're looking for someone to purchase the property as is. Now, once you learn how to do these pre-probate leads, you will build long-term relationships with these families because you came in at a time that they were in great distress, they were grieving of their loved ones, and if you can come in with a compassionate problem-solving solution for their need of the real estate, they're going to remember that. Now, if you come in there and don't treat them right and you're unethical, they're going to remember that too. So you want to make sure that you treat these families really kind of like with kid gloves. You're working. You want to establish yourself as a compassionate advisor. So it builds trust and you can lead to referrals from other professionals, especially if they have other, they have an attorney or an estate planner or something like that. So the relationships can create a steady stream of future leads and deals. Now, what are the benefits of using pre-probate as opposed to probate? And this is a question I get all the time. So one is access to less competitive off-market properties. So to give you a little more background of me, I used to volunteer for hospice. So talking to people who have passed or who have someone who's dying in their household, I'm not saying I'm accustomed to it. I'm just saying that I learned skills to handle that. I'm a little older, and I've had people in my own life that have passed away. So I feel that I have a connection, that I can kind of connect with people that are going through these hard times. And it's not about how much money I can make off of their real estate. It's about how can I help them? So families are often motivated to sell quickly. So you have motivated sellers and there's lower competition. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that, right? So you have off-market properties. And in fact, that's kind of the secret sauce of Money Making Mamas. We purchase off-market properties, and then we use other people's money, which that's another webinar. Now, let's talk about probate versus pre-probate. So if you've seen the Foreclosures Daily's list, if you're getting probate, you'll notice that they have a column that says personal representative. And I have actually marketed to these as well. So my typical way to do that is I have two ways for probate. One, I'll do mailers. I'll do phone calls to the personal representative, and then sometimes there's an attorney. A lot of times there's an attorney listed on there, or sometimes the attorney is the personal representative. I've made office visits, I've networked, and the biggest challenge I found with working with the personal representative, especially if it's with an attorney's office, is the gatekeeper. So trying to get them. And I had one property, I just was wanting to, it was vacant. I knew that the person had passed away. I was just trying to buy this house and it was in a trust. And so there was an attorney that was working with it. And he would not, I talked to him once or twice on the phone. He would not return my phone call. So I got in my car, I put an offer together, got in my car, drove to his office, which was like an hour from where I was even living at the time, only to find out that his office was like a UPS store. So he didn't even have a real office. So, I mean, so I have found it's a lot more work working probate leads. Now, on the pre-probate, when you go and you get your list from foreclosuresdaily.com, guess what? There is no column for personal representative. Okay, why? Because it's not going through probate. No one's been named as the personal representative. The person literally passed away last week if you're getting the lead this week. So you're dealing directly with the family member. So that should kind of let you know, okay, you're going to be dealing with someone that is close to the person who passed away, possibly, right? I mean, 99% of the time, you're going to be dealing with a relative of the person who passed away. So timing is everything. So if you happen to call, while they're having the wake, that's not going to be good, right? And I personally, for me, what I like to do is I send cards. I send cards that they're very simple. They're like a note card, almost like an invitation. That's kind of why I like that other company that I was talking about, because it looks like it's an invitation, because the idea is to get them to open it, right? Because they are going to get mail from other people. They're going to get postcards. So I want mine to seem personal and I'm really reaching out. So, and I also want to provide a solution-based approach. So my message is very simple. I don't acknowledge the death. So don't, if you're writing to people, don't say, I'm so sorry that you lost Uncle Joe. No, all you do is you say, this is the simple message. I, Smith family, I'm interested in the property at 123 Main Street. If you're interested in selling, please call me. Here's my phone number and my name. That is my message. That's it. Now, you're going to ask me, well, what happens when they call? And I'm going to get to that in just a second. So you want to be authentic, transparent, and empathetic, because when you do get that phone call, the first question they're going to ask you, what do you think? I could, if this was like a Zoom, I'd say, well, what do you think? Or if I was in person. So the number one question they're going to ask you is, well, where'd you get my name from? How'd you get this address? That's usually the very first thing that people ask. And so what I say, now I'm a Texas independent broker, so I let them know, hey, I have people who are looking to buy in your neighborhood. So now I haven't even acknowledged, that there's somebody been passed. I don't have to, I'm not talking like, oh, hey, I got your name off of a pre-probate list, because what are they going to do? They're going to hang up. So the idea is I want to keep them on the phone so that I can start building a rapport with them, and I can find out what the story is and what their problem is. Okay, now, as you're finding out what they might need to clear out the house. Maybe it's a hoarder home. Maybe they just have a lot of knickknacks. Maybe they do have collectibles. So you're going to have a network of trusted people that you can, a network of not estate planners, but estate sales, garage sales, to dispose of their items. I will say, out of all the lists that I cultivate and market to, this one gets the highest rate of return. When I say, if I mail out 100 cards, I'm going to say about 35% on the first go round, call me. I don't always get a deal from that, but I do get, sometimes I get a call and you might not like what they had to say, but they do. So there is a high rate. And I think it's because of the envelope that I send, because it looks like an invitation. It looks like a birthday card. It looks like a Christmas card. And I have a mom who, she has beautiful handwriting, and she writes all of my cards handwritten. It's not, so it looks like it's invitation. So, but yeah, the reason for the call, how'd you get our name? So be prepared for a high degree of emotion. And I'll just share something that happened recently where a lady called and she was very upset. And now remember, my card just says, hi, I'm interested in the house at 123 Main Street. If you're interested in selling, please call me. That's all the message says. So she did call me, and she was so angry because her husband passed away. And who did I think I was? Her and her children are still going to need a place to live. So you are going to have those kinds of calls because you're talking about human emotions. Okay, next. Here we go. All right. So let's just talk about how lucrative pre-probate leads can be. So now this is just based, and now these are going to be like, and I kind of tried to do an average of my counties that I do. So I wanted to just show you. So this is, so I market to 4 counties right now, but I'm getting ready to increase that, aren't I, Joe? So, so this is just 1 county for 1 month. And there were 185 leads. So realtors, I want you to listen up for this, and investors too. So there were 185 leads in that 1 month. Of that, so for me as an investor, I'm only marketing to properties that have a value of 250,000 or less. So in my investing, I focus on single family homes, and I'm only interested in purchasing properties that are under $250,000 for an investment. Okay, everything else can either be a referral or can be an Airbnb, but that's kind of like I'm only marketing to them. So of that 185, 14 of those leads, the value of the property, because Foreclosures Daily gives you that information. So you have like how many bedrooms there are, what year it was built, you have so much information. So I'm able to sort the list and say, okay, I'm going to only market to this one particular piece of marketing goes to these 14 people. Now, I generally do at least one deal that'll net me $5,000. So I got some case studies here to show you how that works. Okay, so now I had 185 leads. I'm going to market to 14 of them as for me as an investment for Nancy to buy them. And that leaves 171 properties that were over, the value was over $250,000. So guess what? Those go to my referral friends, my referral realtors, because the realtors, the listings, so these are for listings. So realtors, these are like untapped potential for potential listings for you, because these listings, the value of the property can be over $1 million. As an investor, I'm not going to market to that as an investor. So if I refer 10% of them, and I usually, because the way I set up my referral fees with I'm just referring them, so they'll pay me $500, right? Sometimes I'll get more depending on the commission, but it's generally like $500. Could I get more? Yes, but I'm not greedy. And I'm okay with making $8,500 for handing over leads. So this is just 1 month. Now, when I did this, I was like, oh, they're never going to believe that. So you know what I did for you? I did another month. Whoops, back. There we go. This is another county, same month. Another county, same month. So one county, and it had 126 leads in it. Of that, 12 were under 250 or below, and 114 of those leads were 250 and above. So those go to my realtor friends. So I average about 10% of the leads I refer out at $500 each. So that's $5,700. And in this particular deal, I made one deal out of that 12. I flipped a house and I made $35,000. So are they worth it? Like when I get to the pricing at the end, you're gonna go, dang, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Now, the timeline, this is another question. So when you work with, well, and probate, I think too, and foreclosures. I mean, there's so many factors that go into how long does it take for houses to close and that kind of thing. But especially with pre-probate, because there's a lot of things that have to be worked out. There's family dynamics. I mean, I've worked with families where I got a call from the aunt about her sister who was kind of mentally impaired, and she had kids, and one of them was in jail, and one of them they didn't even know if he was alive, right? I mean, it was just on and on and on, and it took forever. And then you throw in COVID. I had a couple that really got hung up for COVID because we did have to kind of get through the courts. That was on probate. That was a mess. So that's why we want to avoid courts when we can. But missing family members, that's a big one. Emotional attachment to the property. So I find that this is probably one of the hardest things, especially if it's their family home. And so if you can build that relationship. So what I tend to do is kind of move the family towards, yes, we're going to sell it, but we're going to find another family that can make just as many memories as you had. Because remember, that's their family home. They have so much emotion attached to it. You have to be professional, but not so like, okay, cut and dry, cut and dry. You want to have like some emotion. You want to be able to, empathy is just what comes to mind, compassion, empathy, not sympathy, but just, being a person that they can lean on. So also you want to find out how the property is titled, because that can really mess up, the deal right there. And potential heirs. Like I've worked with people where, come to find out so-and-so had some children that maybe the other side didn't know about. So, we use an affidavit of heirship here in Texas. Always work with an attorney. Now, I'm not an attorney, so I have a title company, a couple title companies that I work with that can really help me through this process, especially if something comes up that the family's talking about. Like, I don't know what we do about that if so-and-so's in jail or whatnot. And I personally have not driven to the jail to get anybody to sign. I'll let the family members do that. So use a title company. And then the condition of the home can also delay. There was someone that I knew, and they were telling me that it took a year for their client to get all their stuff out of the house. And I said, well, why didn't they just sell it as is? Well, they were very attached to the house, and they were a bit of a hoarder. So it was hard for them to just let go. So it took them a long time just to get out of the house. So sometimes the house needs repairs, it's dated. Now, again, in the example of if sometimes families are very prepared, like they know someone's going to pass away, they know that dad's going to pass away, mom has to go into a nursing home or vice versa. So they've been working on getting the house ready for market. And sometimes the repairs are very small. So, they just need a trusted guided advisor to help them. So sometimes that's, getting an investor like me involved and, getting a cash offer. Sometimes it's listing it on the property or listing it. Sometimes it's advisable to let the family turn it into a rental. And I've done that too, where I've actually helped the family turn it into a rental, and then they can then benefit from having a long-term rental. So you want to approach the problem that they have as an advisor, that you have resources, senior care, partners for repairs and estate sales, that you have an attorney referral, and that you have a trusted network of people that you can refer them to. Now, let's talk a little bit about affidavit of heirship. And this may be if you're not in Texas or you're in a state maybe that they don't have these things, but it is state specific. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm almost sure that Florida has this, but I don't know, right? But it is a legal document, and you work with a title company or an attorney's office, but it identifies who the heirs are, and it transfers ownership to the heirs. And the reason you would do this is you can actually sell the property without having to go through probate. Even if they have a will, it can be the property itself can be extracted if that's the only thing, because all parties that are heirs to it or whatever are agreeing to that. Now, if they don't agree, it's not going to work, right? Because everybody has to sign off on it. So it saves the family time and money, and eliminates the need for probate. Because if that's the only thing that they have, the family has, is that house, then they don't need to go through probate. So it kind of streamlines the process as much as that's possible. Because this process could still take, like I've done deals that they've taken as little as 3 months and as long as almost a year. Oops. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's talk about some case studies. So these are properties that I have personally been involved with. So here's one. So I did marketing with a postcard, and it was a very simple postcard. It just almost like those We Buy Houses kind of postcard. It was a little more classier than that. And the son of the deceased person called me. The mom had died many years ago, so it was just the dad, and the dad had been living in this house all by himself. And it was really I wanted to buy this house and keep it as a buy and hold. That's what my original strategy was going to be with this house. I had a professional inspection because a lot of houses in Texas have to have foundation. It had a huge yard. It was in a great neighborhood. But the thing is that they had converted the garage. I don't know if you can see this bathroom, but it was a tiny, tiny bathroom. And there was, and it was a kind of an old house. It had an electrical panel that was probably about like that, so the whole house was going to have to be rewired. But the situation with the bathrooms, they had converted the garage, and it was not a good conversion. And in order to even finish out this bathroom and put in another bathroom, the lines, the way the house was built, it was going to be so cost prohibitive. I just said, okay, we're not going to do it. So what I did is I ended up wholesaling this house, and I made $5,000. So that was kind of fast because it was 3 months, and they already kind of knew what they needed to do. So we did an affidavit of heirship. It was just the son and his sister, and we got that one taken care of pretty quickly. Now this one was a flip. And again, it was off of a postcard / little invitation card that I used. And the person that called us in this case was the sister of the deceased. So there was a mother and son living in this house. The son was an adult son who was mentally challenged. So he had a guardianship person that was working on his behalf. And this was basically minor cosmetic repairs. I mean, really, the house was in very good condition. So we did have to wait until, and this one, because the mom had passed away. He was moving into a group home, so it was already kind of set where he was going to go. And but the biggest hang up on this one was the guardianship able to sign off for the son. So we had to make sure all of the I's were dotted. And again, I didn't do that. We had an attorney do that. So this one we flipped and made $35,000 on it. So that was a quick and easy one. And this took about 4 months for us to close on that one. Now, the next one that I want to talk to you about is really for my realtor friends out there. So this was a $1 million property. So I referred this property out, right? So what happened was I said, okay, this is a really nice property. And instead of taking my $500, I go, let's see what happened with this property, because it was on the value for ForeclosuresDaily.com. I think the value was like 1.2 million or something like that. So I referred it to a luxury realtor. And the house didn't really need a whole lot. The owners had only owned it for about 6 years. So the husband had passed away. The wife called and she was already relocating. So what happened was the husband died in January of 2024. The property was listed in June of 2024 and it was closed in July of 2024 because it was that nice of a house and it's in a wonderful, great neighborhood. So the realtor made a commission of $43,000 in that house. And guess what? I got a referral fee of a little over 10 grand. So that was really good. Now, the reason I put this in here, none of these are like, oh, I didn't really have to do a lot of work. What did I have to do? I had to become a client of ForeclosuresDaily.com. I said, okay, this is the kind of leads I want. I'm going to get these pre-probates. Okay, here's my messaging. I have my mom. She's writing me cards. She's mailing them out. I'm answering the phone. I'm saying, okay, and when I talk to the sellers, I find out where the property is, and I'm doing a little research, so when the lady told me that what her property address was, I'm familiar enough with my area to know, dang, that's a pretty high-end property. I'm not going to be investing in that one. So I knew that this was going to be, a pretty easy sell. So for me, I really didn't have to do that much work to make that much money. So that's kind of my point, that the leads themselves, you get all the information. You have to put in the work to do the right marketing with the right message. And probably the biggest thing that you're going to need to learn is how to talk with folks who have recently lost someone and how to solve their problem when they have real estate that they don't want to keep. So I'm making it sound easy, and it is easy once you learn the process. Okay, so now you're saying, oh, Nancy, that's so good. Well, how can we learn more? Well, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be hosting this is going to be a paid event on how to market and how I exactly handle all of these leads. I go into even more depth than I did tonight. So if you want to know more information about how I do this is going to be an online event I'm doing on November 21st. It'll be from 2 to 5. You're welcome to join me live. I will have time for a Q&A and all of that. But if you can't make it, you can also get the replay, right? So if that's something that you're interested in, that's the QR code. I'll be showing it later on here. Because now I want to give, here it is. It's $300. Now, if you do sign up for it in the QR code and it says $395, don't worry about that. There was some glitch on the end. I didn't have time to fix it, but it's $300. So, and you can always reach out to me if you have any issues. So, okay, now let's get back to ForeclosuresDaily.com, because you know what, guys? Not only do they have really great leads, and I just gave you 3 wonderful examples of how you can make money. When I go over the pricing, and then you also get, these are some bonuses that you're going to get when you become a client. So first, the six step mailing campaign. You're going to get phone scripts and email to send to attorneys. So what are they doing? They're helping you with the messaging. They're helping you with the marketing because they want you to be successful. They want you to be, say good things like I am. I mean, it's pretty amazing that, 2018, and they've been in business since 2004, and people are still raving about them, right? So you'll get a special link to reduce mail rates, just like when I called the gal today at the other marketing, the direct mail marketing, like get a discount because I'm a Foreclosure Daily. So you get all that too. And then they have these wonderful webinars that I will be hosting for you this coming up in 2025, so that you can learn all of these different ways. You'll meet lenders, you'll meet other investors, you'll meet realtors. And so you'll get just all of this information that will help you even grow your business more. There's a webinar on the 7 ways to make money with probates, and with the author, again, who wrote the book. Remember, I brought that up. So, okay, let's talk about pricing. So now this is, I want to make sure I get this right. So because they have BOGO, okay, buy one county, get one free. So, and it applies to all of the leads, the probates, the pre-probates, the inheritance, the divorce, violation, eviction for each list. So I want to make sure. So if you were to buy one county, okay, for 12 weeks, that's going to be just under $600. Now, remember when I showed you, I had one county for 1 month, and how much did I make? $5,000. So, 10% I'm going to spend on some more leads. But if you buy for a longer period of time, so you buy 26 weeks, you're going to save $200. But if you buy for the whole year, which is what I usually do, then you really have a saving. So $1,750 for the whole year, plus then you can add on another county at 50%. So for under $3,000, you can get you 2 counties, right? Like $1,750, then, divide that in half. And what did I say I made on an average? I'm making anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 on my deals. So you can do this too. Now in Florida, we have a little bit different structure here for foreclosures in Florida. So you can do 3 months for $479, $799 for 6 months, $159 savings, $1,299 for 1 year. Or you can do the a la carte. I'm going to move my little screen here and make sure I get all of that for $1,000 per 500. So the bottom line is that the more you buy, the more you save. And with that, the more you buy, the more you make. So from tonight, what I want you to take away from me is that one, no matter which lead source you want to use, Foreclosures Daily gives you the information you need to market to. So if you're doing pre-probate, you're going to market right to the families. If you're doing probate, you're going to have the ability to market to the families, to the attorneys, and or the personal representative, because sometimes they're a different person. And there's a whole campaign that you can learn just on how to market to attorneys, and if you are an attorney, then you have or if you're in a network with other attorneys. So there's all different ways that you can learn just by being a client of foreclosuresdaily.com. Now, I brought around my motivated, if you're motivated to sign up for my webinar, I hope you are. Again, you get the, we're going to go over how the motivated sellers first, establish yourself as a trusted advisor. And I'm going to just take you on the journey of how I've been successful with these pre-probate leads. And just that I've been so successful that I'm going to increase the, not only the amount of counties that I've been doing, I'm going to start marketing to more. And I've actually going to be bringing on a couple partners because they've been seeing the success that I've had. So, all right, we're going to take some time for some questions. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I believe the next webinar is on December 5th, I think is the next one. So, but again, don't forget to follow Money_Makin Mamas. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, I'm going to have to put my glasses back on because I have to see this. I know sometimes when you have the lights, it's like, oh, you got all the. Okay, here we go, Q&A. All right, I'm going to see if I have any questions that I didn't. Yes, you'll get a copy of the presentation. Yes, replay. So are you just handing the leads to realtors? Do they pay only the referral fee if they successfully get it on contract? So what we do is we look at the leads. So of that 120 or 114, we'll look at, first of all, we'll kind of clarify them. Like, if it's already listed, then no, they're not going to pay me. So we kind of clarify them. And then they have to do the work to get the listing, right? So we make sure all the barriers are gone, but because these are people that I work with all the time, and so even if they don't make a deal on this one, they know they're going to get the next one. So what's wrong with offering condolences? Doesn't that show empathy and professionalism? Well, Yes, it would, Alex, but the thing is, you don't know these people, right? You have no connection, no anything. And so it will seem insincere, now if I knew them, but I don't know them, I have no connection. And so for me to say, because I'm going to say, oh, I'm sorry, Uncle Joe passed, by the way, what are you going to do with this house? So it doesn't seem, it doesn't seem sincere. And I've known people that have done that and has backfired. Now, maybe you can come off a little better, but for me, that would not work. Are you a realtor? Yes, I'm actually an independent broker here in Texas. I got on a few minutes late. Did you say which company you use for your mailers? Actually, I haven't. I'm just going to start using one that I get a discount with foreclosuresdaily.com. But I've always used a mom. I have a couple moms that handwrite all my stuff, and I'm scaling up so they're not going to be able to keep up with the volume that I'm going to go. Are these bonuses specifically for pre-probate? I don't recall getting anything that was pre-probate related, just probate. You know what? I'm going to have you reach out to, I think it is for pre-probate. But what you should do is reach out to your representative, and I think Joe's on here, and if he wants to shoot me an answer, I'll say that. So, but really check with them. Why are the prices less for leads in Florida? I do not know the question to that. So I would reach out to your person. I'm guessing because they are in Florida. I don't know the answer to that. Can you specify land or is it just houses? So interesting that you say that. So in the leads that I work, now it could be like tax liens. It will say that it'll say if it's a mobile home, a single family, multifamily, and vacant lots. I don't see a lot of them, but you might ask your representative if that's something that you can just request. Have you had any success with surviving spouses? We have done probates for several years, but have never gotten a deal from a surviving spouse. So I might not get a deal, right? It depends on what the outcome if the surviving spouse wants to stay in the house, then obviously, you can't do anything about it. However, it's good to build a relationship. So for the question about condolences, so when the person calls me, when they're answering my letter, and they call me. Now that is the time to, because they'll say, how'd you get my name? And I'll say, I have buyers looking in your area. And they'll say, well, we're thinking about buying the house. My husband just passed away. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'll usually go in with, had he been sick? And then they want to talk and you just need to be quiet. We do have scripts for this, but sometimes it's just intuition that you need to know to be quiet and let them talk about their family and their spouse. And then you can kind of interject questions like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then you can find out, you can kind of start having a conversation about, well, what are your plans? What will you be doing? And if the person just died like a month ago, they don't even know. And so a lot of times you have to build a relationship so you can circle back with them. Because I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. Would it be all right if I check back with you in 2 or 3 weeks? Is there anything I can help you with? Do because they might tell you that they have things they need to dispose of. They don't know. One lady, her husband was in the middle of fixing their kitchen and she needed her kitchen to be completed. So I got her a trusted handyman that I knew would be compassionate, and she was lonely. So he was happy. He was an older guy. He didn't mind talking to her. Do I get all the leads for the price? Well, you pay per county. And then you pay one county and then you can get another county at half price. What day of the month do we receive leads? Okay, so it will depend. So on mine, for pre-probates, I get them on Wednesdays. And I believe when I did probates, it was on Wednesday. Is each product sold separately? Yes. For the pre-probate, probate, the different types of leads, yes. Sorry, do realtors still pay you a referral fee if they don't get the client to list with them? Yes. Only because we're clarifying. So what I'm doing is I set it up so that they have a good shot at getting the listing. Now, I've worked with these realtors. We have a relationship. So they know that if they don't get this listing, and usually, I usually just I don't refer them to just brand new agents. I would want to refer them to somebody that's going to get the deal. So if they don't get the deal, they still have to pay me because I'm the one that spent the money to get the lead in the first place. They wouldn't have that lead without me. So that, yes, they do have to pay me something. If they keep pinning you down about how you got their name, how do you handle it? I just tell them that we okay, I tell them that I have people that are looking to buy in their neighborhood and that we just send a mailer out. In all the years I've been doing that, I've never had anybody say, well, what do you mean you got it off of I've never said, oh, I've got it off of the county records, or, Foreclosures Daily gave it to me or whatever. It's always been, and usually that's not even, and I also disclose in that first 2 or 3 minutes, like, oh, by the way, I am a real estate agent, but if I buy your house, you're not going to have to pay any commissions. That's if I'm buying the house. Now, if they list it, then that's a different story. But in the whole time I've been doing it, as long as you're upfront and honest, and that's what I'm doing. I'm a buyer and I'm looking for a house in that neighborhood. Oh, does Foreclosures Daily let you know how many investors they're sending these leads to per county? I'm gonna say sort of. I mean, they're in business, but I will say this, that since I've been doing that in 2018. So if you were to do foreclosures, there's so many people going after the foreclosures. I mean, it's not even from foreclosuresdaily.com. It's like from everywhere. So there's a lot of investors, a lot of people teach, okay, go to the because it's, supposedly low hanging fruit. I personally, I know that sometimes the people do get letters. I mean, I'm not the only pre-probate person. I just think that when I talk to people, I have a little bit better demeanor. And so I'm usually the one they want to work with, so it is competitive, but not as competitive as, let's say, the foreclosure list. Do you send the postcards out just as a person that wants to buy, or do you send them with your branding company as a realtor? I send a envelope that's a card. I'm trying to look at my desk and see if I have one laying around. So I have, okay, you could probably see these. They're blank note cards. Can you see them? No, I don't put in there anything about being a realtor. My message is very simple. It says, "Dear Smith family, I'm interested in the house at 123 Main Street. If you're interested in selling, please call me." That's all my message says. Then when they call, then I will get into the conversation. Oh, by the way, I am a realtor. But if I buy your house, you don't pay commissions, and that's the end of it. I mean, they don't really get into what they really want is someone that will listen to them and help them solve the problem when they want to get rid of their house. The discounts are for all lead types. That came from Mr. Joe. He's my rep over there. So thank you, Joe. Was this recorded? Yes, it was. Does the affidavit of heirship work to avoid probate in a case where the deceased owns the property with a relative as tenant in common and doesn't have a will? Okay, I'm not sure about all that. Sounds like an attorney thing. Here's how the affidavit of heirship works. If all the heirs, whoever's entitled to the property, signs those, because each one of them fills it out, right? And then it's like 6, 7, 8 pages long. It's not just a one page, like, oh, hey, it's a questionnaire. It has a lot of information in it. So if every person that is entitled to that house signs off on it, then yes, they can avoid going through probate. If it's in Texas, and then you would have to find out if that would work in your state. Do you send a postcard and call every lead? I do not call. I am not a caller. I'm pretty busy, and I get enough people that call me, and I call them back, but I don't call. I send letters, or I send cards, and then after the first go round, I might send another one. But I have a lot of room for my marketing because I get so busy with the people who call. Because remember, I said I have about a 35% return on 100 calls, and I'm just working myself and a couple people. So surviving spouses will oftentimes sell. They downsize to something more suitable. Yes. They move in with their children. They end up going. They cannot afford to keep the house on one person's income. Yes, that's all the reasons. That's all the reasons. Are we getting duplicate leads that other people are also paying to receive? In other words, are we competing with other Foreclosures Daily customers for the same leads? Well, yes and no, Patricia, because I'm not going to be the only person in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I might be one of the few ones that are doing the outside. I like counties where I know there's maybe not a ton of leads there, but there's even fewer people that know how to work a pre-probate. So just talk to your representative about that. So like, I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Am I going to be the only one? No, I am not. I have a service business for many years. My experience is that widows still stay in the house, but many times a widower will sell. No idea, just an observation. Okay, well, we'll just take that, Chip. Do you have to be a realtor? No. or tell them you're a realtor? No. Is there any advantage to that as opposed to an investor? No, because even as an investor, you can be buying in that area. You know, when I say I have buyers looking in that area, that is just so that they're not going to hang up on me, right? What I'm really saying is I'm looking for a house there. And when we get in and they get a little bit more, what you want to do, so what I'm trying to convey here is that you want to keep the person on the phone to build relationships, to build rapport with them so that they want to work with you, because they're not going to they won't work with you just because you sent them a card, right? I don't care how pretty or whatever it says in it. They're going to work with you because why? They know you, they like you, and they trust you. So I'm going to kind of make a plug here on social media, because on social media, you know, especially if you're working with older folks, maybe they don't, and I'm putting myself in that category, but you know, if you start putting things out, think about what other people will see, because it used to be like, I always tell people this story about, you know, people could used to look you up in the yellow pages. Well, you know, now they go to social media. So if you have, I try to just stay very neutral, because I never know who my clients, who my sellers that I'm trying to buy a house from. So I just try to stay neutral. I just want credibility, that I'm somebody that they can trust. So there's really no advantage except that, you know, I mean, except I can look up stuff on the MLS. You're welcome, Greg. Anyway, I can get a copy of your card. I'm in Palm Beach, so not your competition. Yes, you can. And Joe has, and my contact is, in fact, you can message me on Instagram and I'll respond back to you. How do you get other people's money to purchase the property? Are you wholesaling? I'm not wholesaling, and that topic is a whole new webinar, right, Joe? That's built on relationships, so I use a lot of private money. How much time after the first card would you send a second card? I usually wait 3 to 4 weeks, because I want to see if any of the cards come back and things like that. Is a recording? Yes, you will receive. It'll be on the YouTube channel. What happens if the deceased had no will? So this is going to be more state specific. So in Texas, we use the affidavit of heirship. And then I use a title company with an attorney, because I'm not an attorney. So I have to refer all of that. So one of my trusted advisors for my people. So let's say, you know, Uncle Joe died and he didn't have a will. So Aunt Ada is still alive and she doesn't know what to do. So rather than me, I would say, hey, let's talk to an attorney, and I would get her a free consult with an attorney to advise her, because I'm not going to be the one to say, oh, well, you should just sell the house to me, right? I want to make sure it's done correctly. And I always close at a title company. How long does each lead usually take to close from first call? Okay, good question. And it depends. So as I stated before, the fastest I've ever done one of these leads is literally like 3 months. Number one, the person just died last week, right? So when you're using these types of leads, I usually wait about 3 or 4 weeks, 2-3 weeks to mail to them, because then they might not be as mad. You know, I'm not going to mail to them the very next day or whatever. And then they need time to process like what they're going to do. So the shortest has been 3 months. The longest has been close to a year. Usually I would say, you know, 6 months is 6 to 9 months. Yeah. So, okay, I guess I think I got through all the questions. I'm not sure. Did I, Joe? My screen's not going. I think I'm gonna. Oh, here we go. Got more. Is this the chat in addition? Oh, yes, somebody asked that already. Oh, I think it's just going back to the top. I think I got all the questions. Okay. All right, and we have like 6 minutes to go. I couldn't have timed that any better, guys, because I'm a chatty Cathy. So I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I really appreciate you giving up a little bit of time. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And again, you can reach me, Money Making Mamas, and you can also ask your representative. They all have my contact information. But thanks again. And Joe, thank you so much. And you all have a great Thanksgiving.